help increase your sales. Let me look at your site. And I looked at it and I'm like, yeah, you're doing a bunch of things that I realized were hurting me. If you let me work on it, you don't have to pay me if it doesn't work, but if it works, then you can pay me. And it worked right away.
Nice.
They went from 400,000 to 2.5 million a month in a matter of 5 or 6 months. And so
that's more than working. That's like,
yeah.
And he always said, that's always stuck with me. It's like, yeah, you got to have a clear
we
call
call it
to
the
action.
hierarchy of focus. Like, what is the next most important action you want them to take on that page? Right. Typically in e-commerce, it's a button. So on the home page, it's a button to a category or a filter. On the filter page, it's a couple of buttons that narrow down their products from 200 offerings to 20. And then when you get to the product page, it's to add to cart, not all these other things.
Is there anything AI related there that's helping you optimize better?
We pipe in the analytics right into the language model and let it can look at, it can basically treat all of your data like it's analyzing an entire library where we can just read a book at a time. And so we can give it a year's worth of browsing behavior and say, hey, what will we not see? Or can you point out something that I might not notice? And it gets really good at it the more that you learn how to ask it the proper questions.
Hi, I'm Matt Levenhagen, founder of Unified Web Design, UnifiedLabs.ai, and the host of the Builders Podcast. Here on The Builders, our goal is to uncover the first principles behind building businesses, products, and services. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe or follow wherever you're listening. And if you find value in our content, a like, share, or review is always appreciated. Let's dive in and explore the roots of innovation and progress together. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another The Builders. Today, we are joined by Matthew Stafford. Welcome to the show, Matthew.
Thanks for having me.
Great name, by the way.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I actually, there's a lot of stories that revolve around that. I'm actually from Michigan, which is where he was traded. And so as I've moved around, I moved to LA. Then 6 months later, he was traded to LA. So wow. I dealt with it for, 12, 14 years. And then literally within 6 months of me moving to another part of the country, he was traded there and promptly won the Super Bowl. So whenever I would leave my name and my Michigan phone number, the owner of the establishment would call me.
Scrambling. Oh my God.
Typically within an hour or two and offer free products. And I had to literally convince them that it wasn't him because they would go, well, yeah, but I see you have a Michigan number too, and like trying to get me to reveal it. And I'm like, yeah, I know.
That's awesome. That's a great story.
Yeah.
You can leverage that somehow. I don't know.
Yeah. I could have got some free product, but they would have been very unhappy with the result.
Yeah. So Matthew is, he doesn't like to call himself a CEO. He's the managing partner of a brand called Build, Grow, Scale. And do you want to just take a minute or two and just tell us what you guys do over there?
Yeah, what we do is we optimize the customer's journey from when they land on the website until they give you money. And our goal is to, average website converts around 2%, which I think is terrible and it's broken. If you have 100 people that raise their hand to come look at what you sell and you can only sell 2 out of those 100, then that journey can be optimized. And if we can get you to 4 or 5 or 6 or 10 out of 100, then you're going to be doing much better than your competition. And that gives you the ability to buy more traffic. And we believe that the business that can afford to spend the most to acquire the customer wins. And so if you're more profitable, because for every 100 visitors you send, you get 4 or 6 or 8 more clients, then you can afford to spend more and you take market share.
Nice. So you you help people with conversion, like optimizing for conversions and
Yeah. Yep.
that whole
Basically, the website. How do we convey the message and solve the problem that the consumer's looking for better than your competitors?
right. So, on that note, we like to start out with kind of you telling your story and kind of your origin story, your journey.
Yeah.
You can go as far back as you want, whatever you think is going to be interesting.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and throw it to you.
I got started on my entrepreneurial journey right out of high school. So I had had a scholarship for architectural drafting and did that as a co-op program during my 11th and 12th grade year. When I was working for a gentleman part-time doing that, and when I graduated, he wanted to sell his business, so he sold it to me on a land contract. And so I bought it and grew that, turned it into it. Originally, it was like small construction around the lakes and seawalls and stuff like that in the Houghton Lake area. But eventually I grew it into a concrete business, and we traveled all over the country, did millions of square feet of commercial flat work.
Wow.
And in that process, it grew to about 25 employees, and we were doing, several $1 million a year worth of concrete. But I was on the road about 200 days a year and traveling all over, working for Walmart, Menards, and Lowe's, Home Depot, these big box stores.
So you said architectural drafting.
Yeah.
So you were doing the drafting and then you had a
Well, I understood blueprints, and they would send me blueprints, and then I would bid them, and we could make modifications. So I didn't end up becoming an architectural draftsman, but I was obviously using blueprints every single day for what we did. Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, I remember it brings some interest in me because when I wasn't I didn't do anything with it, but like when I was in high school, like my senior year, I spent like 3 hours a day in the drafting room. I had advanced drafting 2, advanced drafting 3, and then like study hall. And I loved it. I thought about getting into architecture and stuff and drafting, but I ended up pursuing other things. But
yeah, right when I was studying, this dates me a little bit, was when AutoCAD was coming out, and so it was just brand new.
Yeah, I was still on the big board, like whatever.
Yeah,
drafting
where you do everything
stuff.
mechanically, and you have T-squares and triangles, and that's same with us. I started in mechanical drafting and realized I liked drawing structures, and switched over instead of drawing machine parts. Ended up doing architectural drafting.
Nice.
So in that, back to the story where we were at, where I was on the road about 200 days a year, I saw an event for Tony Robbins. And I signed up for it, went to it. And during that event, he was selling a program called Money Masters. And it was a monthly DVD and booklet of these people that were selling online and creating these huge audiences and quite a bit of money. And so I started thinking like, wow, I've never used my computer to do anything other than emails and proposals and blueprints and stuff like that. I would love to learn how to generate money online and not have to travel or be in a hotel bed, 200 days a year.
Right.
And so I started applying what I was learning in those and understanding marketing. And in that, I ran across a site that was called Teespring. And what you would do is you could design an image or some text, put it on a t-shirt, and then run ads to it and sell it. And I got pretty good at that fairly quickly. And
how were you driving traffic? Like just
Facebook ads.
Facebook ads?
Yeah. Yeah. Back then it was Facebook ads. You could get a sale for about $10. Now I think you can't even get a click for $10. So
it's changed a little.
It was a different time, but in that first 36 to 48 months, we ended up selling about $15 million of the t-shirts. And I was like,
wow.
I would rather do this than travel and live on the road. And so I sold the concrete business to the employees, and I had 2 brick and mortar salons at the time I sold those, and become 100% online about 4 or 5 years after that conference.
What year was that? And you went 12,
13 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah. So 2010, 2012.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
And
from there,
that's a great feeling. And I went full time online. I was doing all kinds of things too, up until I date myself too. I go back into the 90s doing business. But around 2003, I built my first website. It was actually an insurance website. I was an insurance agent back then. And that's when I discovered online stuff. And I'm like, hey, what is this? I discovered affiliate marketing because I was selling some dental plans or something and actually made sales. And I'm like, this is pretty cool. And by 2005 ish, that's when I cashed in. I'm like, I'm not doing this offline stuff like you. I wasn't traveling as much, but still, I'm like, I like the idea of sitting at my desk every day, waking up, sitting at my desk and doing work here.
yeah, with concrete, you were even though you were on the road and away from home, you were subject to the weather a lot of times.
Oh, right.
And so, we would have days in a row where we were stuck in the hotel waiting for rain and different things to go. And, that cost me money, per diems and hotels and food and all the rest of the stuff for all the guys. And so, yeah, it just became a grind. And around 2008, 2009, when the housing market crashed, there was a lot of general contractors that were doing those big box stores that quit paying their subs. And we ended up having one of those happen to us in Saline, Michigan, around the Ann Arbor area. And cost us, in the end, it was all told about $500,000. And I just decided, it's no fun being the bank for these big corporations, and the risk versus reward's not worth it. And so we kind of downsized to smaller commercial, tried to stay closer to home, and it made it much easier for me to sell the business to the employees and then move into the online world full time.
Very cool. So you did you figured out the online thing.
Yeah. Then the t-shirts kind of had a opportunity window, and then e-commerce started maturing, and it required stores, and rather than just these marketplace platforms. And the platform, they made some really silly, dumb decisions, and it made it harder to sell on them. So we moved over to Shopify and got into the kitchen niche. Sold, hundreds and hundreds of sales a day in the kitchen niche. And I thought, wow, this is just as easy as t-shirts. It's going to be super simple. And over time, I continued to make the site more and more complex and offer more things. And conversions went down and down and down. And then all of a sudden we went from making a bunch of money and having, a couple $100,000 in inventory inside our own warehouse to making money some days and losing money other days. And it was never consistent. And I thought, this is going to be trouble. And I need to figure it out. And so I hired a guy to teach me Google Analytics. And I did 6 one-on-one calls, and then took what he taught me and really ran down the rabbit hole for the next couple of years and got really good at it to where we could replicate the success across different sites by using data and analytics. And that's really how BGS was born. Originally, my partner, he did funnels and things like that, but not online stores. And so as I got better at that, he started teaching what I was doing, and it kind of morphed into what BGS is now.
That's like the perfect journey, though. Like, it was probably hard at the time.
Oh yeah,
but you're learning a lot.
Yeah,
and you're forced to.
Yeah. But I think I feel that business does that naturally. If you think you're going to get into business to be a part-time employee, right, you've bought into a dream that doesn't really exist for 99% of the business owners, maybe 99.9. I think that business is actually the ultimate inner game. It shows you every day where you're not good enough and where you need to improve and show up and be willing to, stand in the fire and figure stuff out. And so for me, it's been a journey of growth and discovery and highs and lows.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it's not if you think business is easy, it's kind of like, I'm just going to work at home and it's going to be all roses. And I mean, just even like in agency life now, like the whole AI boom and everything, like there's always something around the corner to surprise you and challenge you. And like,
and if you're not keeping up, your competitors are.
Yeah, exactly. So you, but again, it's awesome that you were in the trenches and you learned how to do all of this stuff on your own in your own business, doing your own sales, and you were able to replicate that. And then that was that transition to what you're doing today. Were you doing this? How large were you? Did you have a team? Did you have, and then what was that transition like to?
So originally it was me and a Google Analytics guy, and then I hired a dev, and we did it on our own site, and then I had a couple of friends that I had sold T-shirts with, and started. I reached out to them and said, "Hey, I know that you guys are selling. I think I can help increase your sales. Let me look at your site." And I looked at it, and I'm like, "Yeah, you're doing a bunch of things that I realized were hurting me. If you let me work on it, you don't have to pay me if it doesn't work, but if it works, then you can pay me." And it worked right away.
Nice.
They went from 400,000 to 2.5 million a month in a matter of 5 or 6 months. And so
that's more than working. That's like, that's a huge increase. Wow.
It worked really well. Yeah. And, again, this is 10, 12 years ago. So any optimizations back then were way better than, the online experience now is a lot harder to get those types of wins. But, the second one was Organifi, and he had done like 2.75 million the year before. And in 90 days, I had him at a run rate of $8-9 million. And he ended up doing 16 million that first year. So I'm like, okay, this is replicatable.
And you're building some good case studies along the way.
Yeah, which I did. The Organifi testimonial still on our homepage. If you scroll down, and you'll see Drew sharing, the results. And we just got better and better at it. And I like looking at data and trying to problem solve and figure things out, or build, like what you said, build something that works for not just one person, but what are the principles behind it so that we can repeat it again and again and it becomes sustainable.
Right. That's the key, is doing the repeat. The other thing I wanted, before we get too far beyond it, is again, we are adapting to, we're actually going to start emphasizing AI automations and helping people more on that side. And as I was talking to my team about it, and my person that helps me with marketing and stuff and content, we're like, she actually came up with the idea. I probably would have thought of it eventually, but she's like, you should just offer to do that. We're doing some audits and stuff, so like, so that's kind of where I'm going to start with, is audits. And she's like, you just, offer to do that for a few of your clients or whatever. And then, get that initial feedback. We could use that for, case studies. And I'm like, yeah. And we don't have to charge them. We'll just do, hey, just let us do this. But that's exactly what you did. That's a great way to get started.
Yeah. Yeah. And because it worked, I got paid to learn. So I got, as we were generating revenue, we were getting better and better at it. And, the way that we tested things back then compared to now is radically different, but, it was,
but you learn your process, you kind of figure out the process and how you're going to deliver it.
It was better than nothing. And so we just kept improving. But I think that's, if anything, that's a good reminder for me to remember that, you don't have to have it perfect to start.
Right.
Because now a lot of times, I want to try some new things, and I find myself getting trapped in that paradox of, I need more information. I need more information to ensure this will work, when really what I need to do is hurry up and try some things, get some feedback, and get better at it that way rather than more learning. And I end up a lot of times sharing that with, our students or clients is, listen, you already know enough to have a successful business. The reason it's not successful is because you keep thinking more information is going to make it that way when really it needs more work. And so I think a lot of times the advice we give to other people is really applicable to us as well.
Yeah. Well, it makes a lot of sense. You got to take action. You have to actually execute on what you're, well, right. And you're in the same kind of a space where things are moving fast. Things are always changing. You're not going to ever know everything because there's always something new to learn right around the corner.
Exactly. Yeah.
So the same way with web development and AI can be a little overwhelming. It's like, there's like a million things. It's just let's just choose something. Let's figure that out, then move to the next thing, and so on and so forth. And that's the way to do it. So were there any other challenges did you eventually pivot out of the e-commerce space yourself and go 100% in on BGS?
We did for several years. I now have equity interest in a few different brands. Oh, okay. And which is nice, and I actually enjoy that. I think it also keeps my knowledge and awareness of what the owner goes through in the forefront, because for about 7 or 8 years we did not. All we did was the work that we did, and so we got to only deal with one aspect of e-commerce, which is the website. We don't drive traffic. We don't buy media. We don't do SEO. We don't do a lot of these other things. We understand, like when you're rebuilding the site, how to transfer the SEO and how to, do redirects and things like that. But we're not out there building links and creating content, doing all of those things. Our entire goal is, when somebody comes to your website, how do we get them to give you money? And we focus on that exclusively. And the more that we've said no to everything else, the better we got at that. And so that's really what BGS does. And now me as I wouldn't really say investor, I guess it is an investor, but also equity owner and a few other brands that I can strategically help them grow and scale. It works very well.
Quick pause to give a shout out to the sponsors of the Builders Podcast, Unified Web Design and UnifiedLabs.ai. At Unified Web Design, we specialize in crafting custom websites and offering complete design and development solutions to help businesses build a strong, lasting online presence. Now, through UnifiedLabs.ai, a project I'm really excited about, we're helping businesses tap into the power of AI and automation, designing smarter systems, streamlining operations, and building practical tools that actually work. From audits to implementation, we help brands navigate the AI landscape with clarity and confidence. Whether you need a custom website or you're ready to explore how AI can transform your workflows, visit unifiedwebdesign.com and unifiedlabs.ai. Now back to our show. Yeah, and I think, it's interesting because number one, niching down like that, just figuring out kind of your wheelhouse and just getting really, really good at that thing. That doesn't mean you may not do other things outside of that, but that's where you specialize in, I think is key. And, same for, again, going back to, you're in the game, you're actually building e-commerce site or you're managing e-commerce sites or whatever you're doing. But you're learning out there, like actually learning because you're out there in doing it.
Yeah.
And that's a huge value to a client. And like, you just have a different understanding. It's not like if you just, like for me too, like I go back like many years in the 2000s, I was basically doing internet marketing. I was doing affiliate marketing, pay-per-click. I was selling digital products. I learned all that stuff before I decided to pivot and get into freelancing, doing web design development. And then I went to work for a corporation for a number of years as a web developer, and I learned more there. I was able to focus on my craft. But all of that, having my own businesses and doing all that stuff, even though I'm doing web design development for clients, I'm able to talk to them in a different way and understand them deeper.
Yeah. As a business owner. Yeah.
Because you're a business owner too.
Yeah,
And
we
you've been
have,
there. Yeah.
obviously we have like, because we have a good number of clients, and really our revenue optimizers can only deal with two clients. Otherwise it becomes overload and they can't give a world-class experience. And so we always try to find business owners that don't want to be business owners, that want to work with inside of a system, because they are extremely good at supporting the business owner, knowing all of the things that they deal with and that they don't want to have to deal with. And
Mm-hmm.
so by doing that and looking for people who have already had a business that are now looking to work inside of a system, that's been very helpful for us to
Yeah.
create very long-term relationships with the clients that we have.
Yeah, that's great. 'Cause, yeah, that's what it's about, is building that relationship where is it symbiotic or
Yeah, yeah.
something. Yeah. Revenue optimizers. I love that. I
Yeah,
love
we
that.
tried to call it, we called it that instead of conversion rate optimization, because I can increase your conversion rates by putting all your products on sale. Your conversion rates will go up, but
Right.
that's not necessarily what you want. And so it's not about how you can discount more or do that. It's how do you give the person a better experience and answer their questions in a way that they know, like, and trust you, so they spend their money with you. And that's really what we're doing in optimizing the website. We're not just trying to figure out how to discount everything.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, and I've worked with CROs and through our clients and stuff, and it there's a lot to talk about there, but I've been on the implementation side of it, where you get the report. These are all the things you want to fix, or some rough mock-ups of what they want changed.
Yeah.
And I've seen it work, and I've seen it not work or get worse after they've
Yeah.
applied all these things.
Yeah, we very much believe in function over form. We want the data to tell us what to change, not we don't want to look at it and go, oh, that's not going to work, because it might not work for a stuffed animal brand, but it might work great for a welding table brand. It
Yeah.
might not work for someone that sells supplements, but it might work great for someone that sells, face cream. And so many times people look at other sites that are successful and think like, oh, I have to do what they're doing. And they totally forget, that they have a totally different demographic or a different person, different education level, different, age. There's just a bunch of different things. A 60-year-old person doesn't browse a website the same way a 30-year-old person does. And so you don't take that stuff into consideration. You just start making all these blanket recommendations. It's like a coach trying to give advice to somebody that they talk to once a week.
Yeah.
It's gonna fail, because they don't have the same life experience. They don't have the same resonance with what's going on with that client all week long.
Would you say, because when you said you want to look at the data and stuff like that, there's one that's from this past year at CRO that we tracked down and helped one of my clients. And that was his whole thing. He's like, he wanted to get into the analytics. He wanted to understand things deeply.
That's the only way we'll do it. Like, I can't guess. I do this all day, every day, and I have for 10 years. And if I'm guessing, probably half my ideas will work and half won't. If I have data, I can go cherry pick all the stuff that's not working and figure it out.
But that's what's crazy. Like there's legitimately, there's, I don't know how big the companies are out there, but I've seen it just like a guy get on a call or like a screen share and look at your competitor and say, this is what they're doing. You should do that too. And you should move this over here. And there's no like even understanding under the hood or what your business actually needs. And
run.
Run. They're just getting your money. That's what they're getting. So in terms of, let's talk a little bit about website optimization. I mean, beyond, like, when you're talking about data though, what are you looking at specifically?
Well, we want to know like how this site is working. Is it loading fast? Is the traffic bouncing? Is there specific pages that have a really long load time? Is there apps that are broken? All of that stuff that is the first pass. The second one is clarity. How many things do you have? Like buy now on the homepage. I always ask the owner, does that person have enough information with that little thumbnail right there to make $100 buying decision? No. Okay, then why are you offering to buy now? It's like you're walk into a bar and give the girl a kiss for you even know what her name is. Like, it doesn't work. Like,
unless they're pre-sold somehow before they get there.
Yeah, but still, if that's the case, then they wouldn't land on a homepage that has buy now. They would go to a product page. So each page has a specific purpose, and if you don't understand that, then stop being lazy and do a little bit of work and understand that you enter the client's conversation where they're at. On the product page, they need product details. They want to know how fast it's going to ship. They want to know what the ingredients are. They don't want to know that on the homepage. They want to know if you offer the product that is a solution to them. And an easy way to find it is your search and your navigation working well. Or is it sending people to their blogs or to their social media, which they think for some reason they want them to follow on social media. I'm like, people don't buy off of your Facebook page. They don't buy off of that. They follow people. And then they buy from your brand. And so when they're on your site, stop distracting them with all these other things. So that's the next pass. And then from there, it's, how do you get them to take the next most important action on each page? Instead of having 6 things that they can do, give them 1 or maybe 2.
Yeah, as an agency partner I worked with for a while, he said something, this was years ago. He was like, yeah, if everything's important, nothing's important.
Right.
And
right.
He always said, that's always stuck with me. It's like, yeah, you got to have a clear
we
call
call
to
it
action.
The hierarchy of focus. Like, what is the next most important action you want them to take on that page? Right. Typically in e-commerce, it's a button. So on the homepage, it's a button to a category or a filter. On the filter page, it's a couple of buttons that narrow down their products from 200 offerings to 20. And then when you get to the product page, it's to add to cart, not all these other things. And
it's a journey to kind of
and
filter and get to what you
yeah,
kind of learn. You learn on that journey. You figure out.
Yeah, and you want them to move from page to page to page, because the more that they do that, the more that they buy.
Right. Because they're prepared by the time they get to the actual product page.
Yeah.
Prepared to take action. And again, something else I think that do you mostly work with e-commerce then?
Yeah. Yep. The majority of us, it's websites that have a shopping cart or a lead gen.
Okay. Because that's the other thing you mentioned kind of before, and this is so true. And it was very true in my affiliate marketing days as well. I did a lot. I in a month, I would test like 100 markets. We had a whole system or 100, I would call them like merchant market combinations or something like that. But one of the things that was clear that every single one was different. Every product not only every product and industry was different. Like that's why like there were so many gurus out there teaching things. It's like, yeah, but you're not in I'm not going to sell exactly what you're selling and do exactly in the same scenario.
Right.
But it's also, it was fascinating to me. One of the most fascinating things to me was, let's take, for a while I was actually marketing Halloween stores. I think buycostumes.com, I don't know if it's still around, was like the one that I made a good amount of money, got their attention because I was bidding on their brand. They're brand keepers. They didn't like that too much. I eventually got the email, but it was fascinating to me because of course I tested other brands, right? And they could be selling the same exact product, website to website. And some websites you wouldn't get a single sale, no conversions at all.
Mm-hmm.
But another one, whether it was the brand name, what it was just how their site's set up and how the conversions are, optimized, would sell like hotcakes. And I always found that fascinating because that's it. I don't know if I have a brand, like I have a client who has basically two products, two websites that sell basically the same product, but one does 3 times the sales. And that's always been, I've been working with him for years. And that's something we're trying to improve on this side. The one that's lower. I mean, I think it's starting to improve, but it's interesting because what is it? Because it's basically selling things in the same way. It's the same product, probably the same, pretty much the messaging. It's just the brand looks different.
Mm-hmm.
Like does the brand itself, does the look of the, like, what do you think? Like when you, like if you have two websites that are selling the exact same product.
Yeah, I would say that I would look at the traffic source because not all traffic is going to convert the same, and definitely traffic that comes from Facebook doesn't necessarily convert at the same level that comes from Google or comes from Taboola or the different, programmatic advertisers. We don't drive traffic, but we certainly monitor what the traffic does on the site because we're trying to optimize to get the most sales. So we want to know which traffic source is converting higher. And
I think they're using the same traffic sources. That's what's great.
Yeah.
The one's on Shopify though. One's on WordPress.
That would probably be I bet you the one that's on Shopify is doing the 3 times the volume.
No.
No.
It's opposite.
But that surprises me because typically the same site on Shopify will convert a little bit better. We've migrated.
Don't tell my client this.
Yeah.
He'll really think something's wrong.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to look at them to understand. But yeah.
Yeah, we've had CROs looking at it and stuff, and like I said, I think we're starting to go in the right direction. But yeah, it's fascinating. It's just fascinating.
Yeah.
So you have so in the world, like I was talking about AI and stuff, and do you is that impacting you guys at all?
Yeah, for sure. We're starting to use it. I mean, it's basically the most powerful assistant that you could ever have. It can look at data that we can never analyze in our head in ways that is allowing us to feel like we have superpowers. And
do you using your own tools? Like, what are you using?
No, using the language models and understanding how to prompt them and upload the information into Gemini or ChatGPT. And, you can load in all your reviews and get a lot of psychographic data too. So you understand a lot more about the customer, which makes the website feel and convert better than the one that looks very similar to the other ones. You don't know what the slight tweaks are. Yeah. You would probably find that out fairly quickly if you look at the reviews between the two of them and ask AI why that's happening. It's probably going to tell you exactly what's happening.
Wow, yeah. Because each site has thousands of reviews.
Yeah.
Feed that in.
Those and analyze the psychographics of what the people are saying, and I think that you'll find, there'll be some marked differences there.
I like that. Yeah, that's so it's really pretty much helping you just analyze data and get better insights and things like that.
100%.
On the analytics side and all that is there anything AI related there that's helping you optimize better?
We pipe in the analytics right into the language model and let it can look at, it can basically treat all of your data like it's analyzing an entire library where, we can just read a book at a time. And so we can give it a year's worth of browsing behavior and say, hey, what will we not see? Or can you point out something that I might not notice? And it gets really good at it the more that you learn how to ask it the proper questions. And so, we continue to win for our clients because of using AI now to get better at what we do.
I just feel like there's one word that comes to mind as I'm listening to you. There's like people that aren't doing it or don't have an agency helping them or that aren't doing it themselves are at a huge disadvantage.
Yeah, they're going to make a lot less sales for sure.
Yeah. You get all your competitors are going to be using it.
Yeah, just plain and simple. You got to learn it. If you're not learning it, you're going to be behind, and it's going to be really hard to catch up.
Awesome. So your agency, how does somebody, if they're interested in learning more about what you're doing, how you can help them, or are you out there on the World Wide Web? Do you hang out somewhere? Do you have content?
So our website is buildgrowscale.com, and there's a bunch of free resources on there to see if what we do would help you. And then you can also book a call, and we'll happily get on a call and talk to you, see if it's a good fit. And if not, I'm connected, and I've been in this world now for 12, 15 years, and could connect you with someone that's going to provide some value very quickly. That's just what we do. Our goal isn't to try to work for everyone, but give everybody a world-class experience. And then the clients that want to work with us are the ones that we want. The clients that need to work with us are not the ones that we want. And so we'll let everybody else take the ones that need someone, and we'll work with the ones that understand the power of what we do and collaborate.
So do you think do you have like basically a simple avatar of like your ideal client?
We want them to be doing about 100 to 200,000 a month in sales. Those are the ones that we can get really good growth for, because they've already got something that works, but they haven't really optimized their processes and systems. And those are the ones that we can take from zero to hero very quickly. We also obviously have some other, quite a few that do $1 million a month, and those are a lot slower, just because they've got a lot of things fixed, and so you got to try a lot more things in order to find the levers. But we love those too. But typically we don't deal with too many beginners anymore. We give them a lot of free resources to help them. And then from that,
all right, so they can get themselves to that point where you can help.
Exactly. That is exactly what the whole concept is that we're happy to help you and support you in your journey for free in order to have a long-term client down the road.
I love that. Well, thanks for joining us, Matthew, and sharing all your insights and your journey with us. Until next time.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Builders Podcast. One more quick note about our sponsors. At Unified Web Design, we're passionate about doing better together, partnering with agencies and businesses to deliver exceptional web design, development, and ongoing support. And UnifiedLabs.ai is where we explore smart, practical ways to integrate AI directly into your website and e-commerce flows. From intelligent chatbots to marketing automation to back-end reporting, all with a strong focus on user experience and making your systems work smarter. If you haven't already, subscribe or follow to stay updated on future episodes. And if you enjoyed today's conversation, sharing it with someone who might benefit helps us grow this amazing community. Until next time, keep building smarter, bolder, and with purpose.